He said he's in love with that Coco, so your relationship had to be on the low. But when it came to doing time for that Coco, see, your relationship became public real quick. Because, see, he needed you to take the rap. The funny thing is, he probably would have got less than you if he can just own up to his crimes, but you was too keen to please a man who would never please you back.
Good afternoon, people. Good morning, good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Kasi Podcast. We appreciate you. If you're on YouTube, we appreciate you. From Spotify, Apple, what do you call it? Apple Podcast. We appreciate you. Today we have I say a very special guest all the time, but this one is like, you can't get more special than this. Like, I've actually got family here with me. The one and only Lady Unchained.
Yes. I'm so gassed to finally be here. I'm not even gonna lie. It's been a minute. We've been waiting. Back and forth, dates, yeah. COVID. Like, yeah.
I mean, you're busy.
I mean, yeah. I am. It's actually crazy. It's actually crazy. I'm busy.
You're busy. How are you? Thank you for being here.
I'm good. You know what? I'm actually happy I left my house. I went on the train for the first time in, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I've been on a train.
Everything is on Zoom.
Everything is on Zoom. I live on Zoom. It's good to be in person with people and actually talk to you. So yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Well, obviously, like your family, we talk all the time. But this one is actually for the people that. So this is what it is, right? Like, I always think to myself, right, cool, how am I gonna start this when I think about having you on? And I think I always give a bit of context of like how I know the person or where I saw them or what they're doing or why I want to bring them on. And I was like, cool, so where do I start with this one?
Where do we start with this one?
I don't know where to start because I should have written a list, but there is a list of things that you do.
There's a list of things that I do.
If someone asked me, oh, like, Lady Unchained, what does she do? I would actually be done for words. I would be like, oh, she's a poet.
Yeah.
But that doesn't do you justice because you're not just a poet.
I'm not just a poet. I'm a poet. I'm a facilitator. I'm a mentor. I'm an artist manager. I'm an advocate for life after prison. I'm the founder and creative director of Unchained Poetry, which is an artistic platform that works with artists with lived experience of the criminal justice system.
So you sort of touched on it there. Can I be a crap host and let you just give us a taste of what you, because I don't think I'm going to do it properly.
Okay, so what you just want me to do in my introduction?
Yeah. See? Thank you.
So yes, okay, cool. I am Lady Unchained. I am a poet. Obviously, people mostly know me as Lady Unchained, a poet. However, I'm a broadcaster, so I do. I'm a host for radio, National Prison Radio. I have 2 shows at the moment, Free Flow. Whoop, whoop. We are actually up for an Arius Award for Free Flow. Oscars of radio, apparently. We've got Brenda, Lady Unchained, sitting there like, okay, cool. And then I've got Bars, which is obviously the new show.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Yeah, it's sick because I get like different guests on there. And obviously these are big people, you get me? Like, other people, like, it's funny, like Shem, you know, my little sister's always like, we're famous, we're famous. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, this fame. You know, I interview famous people, you understand? So I'm looking at them like, yeah, I'm gassed, like, this is mad. But yeah, I do a lot of things. I go into jails. And this is all based on the simple fact that I went to prison at the age of 21.
Yeah.
I was arrested for fighting in a nightclub when my older sister, your mum, this is crazy. I've never been able to do this. Your mum was attacked by 3 women and I managed to beat one of them up. And it's funny because the whole prison system is mad because, like, I really didn't see that as, like, I committed a crime, you know? Like, I was just like, my sister's getting attacked, I fight, you know? So, yeah, I do a lot of things, but yeah, that's who I am, basically.
Yeah, so I guess you touched on that. We sort of start from the beginning. Like, I remember she was roughly around my age. And I was a kid, and my first instinct, because I'm very observant, even from a young age. So my first is just like the family, I know like something's happening, something's happened. Like, I don't know where my brother is, but I'm like, but I'm not, because I'm a kid, so I've got things in my mind. Like,
and you can't ask questions because you're a kid.
And I'm not bothered. Like, I want to go play football. Time went on, and then I just sort of got the whiff of it. I sort of, like I said, I'm observing. I sort of got the whiff of it. But again, my mind hadn't really formed the idea of what prison was.
Yeah.
But of course, I know prison, but I don't really understand I understand
like
that's where people go.
There. Yeah, people go there.
But I don't really know,
It's crazy. It's crazy because that's how I felt. Like, even, going up to our aunties' houses in North London, we used to walk past Holloway every day, like going down to Finsbury Park, going shopping. Not once did I turn around and go, oh my days, there's women in that jail. Not once did I, until they drove me there and I bust the corner and I looked to the left and my auntie's house is there. I'm like, oh my days, this is the jailhouse.
It's the same thing when family cousins in Thamesmead, I'd go past Belmarsh all the time.
I'm telling you.
I look at the building all the time. I'm like, but I don't ever register my mind what Belmarsh is.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
There's actually criminals behind the walls.
People, criminals, people. But the thing is, I think because of the life we've had, prison is for criminals, right? So, me ending up in jail is kind of like, raw, Brenda's in jail. You understand? So it's kind of one of them ones where, for a long time, I think I was also the friend that people didn't tell they got in trouble, because I'll be like, what do you mean? So it's always you. Why is it always you? Do you like getting arrested? And they'll tell me, you know what, Brenda, when you're in the criminal justice system, it's easy to get brought back into the system. But I never saw that until I ended up in jail and met women who, not even women, I was 21. So when I met 18-year-olds, I was like, what is life? What is life if there's 18-year-olds in jail? What did you do? You understand? But one thing that I would say is I met one person. I met my first vegan in jail. I remember the girl told me she's a vegan. I said, what's that? Because it don't sound like vegetarian. And she started explaining it and I'm like, raw, okay, how are you in jail? What are you going to eat, sis? But...
They don't have vegan.
They don't have stuff like that. She had to go on hunger strike.
Crazy.
Because the thing is, and you know what she's in jail for? She went into jail for animal rights protesting. So you got to understand, this is she's real down for the animals. Mad. And so that's my girl. So when she told me, I'm like, wow, you're down for the animal. You're doing time for the animals, like that. Yeah. And so when she was in there, she realized that they'll give her different food. But then as the inmates do, one of the inmates that works in the kitchen come and told her, you've been eating the food. We cook it in the same oil. Hunger strike. So it's mad. I think going to jail, you see that there's actually people that are human beings with loads of needs, with loads of things that could have been dealt with before they even got there. But
so I was just a kid, got the whiff of it, mine is in prison. And then I don't know I didn't really address it. I didn't really, because I'm not that nosy kind of kid. I never was that kind of person, so I just kept it to myself. And
but you wrote to me.
Yeah, eventually they told me, they were so fun. My grandma and Shabu mentioned, they broke it down to me you got breaking up right. And I was like, I know already, but I just thought, let me act like I don't know.
Do you know what?
Which is something I never told anyone, but they told, literally, I remember they were in the room, they would know, don't remember. And they told me, my grandma said, Shelby, break it down to me. I was like, I don't know, but I do know.
This time, Shelby's not that much older than you, so it's kind of
It's actually, there's a good chance
blind leading the blind.
Then I had to write you the letter.
I actually have a letter of yours.
You have one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the legendary.
I have it here.
Is it chicken? Oh, you have it? Is it chicken one?
It's not the chicken one. I couldn't find the chicken one. But I do have one.
Right?
I do. There's a couple.
I only remember to write two.
Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah, go on.
It says, "Dear Auntie," I'll show you how you spell all of this. It's beautiful. "Dear Auntie Brenda, you are lucky that I don't know where you are, because you are supposed to be buying me a game." Nah, I'm joking. Lol, laugh out loud. You actually wrote lol and then laugh out loud. "So how are you doing? Because I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing fine too. I hope I see you soon. I love you. Yours sincerely, Usher."
Yo, that is funny.
You can have a look at it as well.
That's hilarious. And this was my writing.
This is your writing.
What? What did I put? Unsincerely?
Yeah.
Unsincerely.
Yeah, this is where you was trying to write yours.
That is hilarious. This was my writing as well. This is not far from my writing now, but whatever.
So yeah, you did, and you did write to me also, and I need to find that letter about the chicken. I think it was either chicken. Yeah, chicken. I think you went KFC.
Yeah.
And you was like, we had some chicken.
Yeah.
And you told me how you bit into it and it was juicy. And I'm reading this in the cell I'm about to have 4 chips and peas. My man's telling me about chicken. And
4 chips and peas.
It's the youngness of that. Obviously, yeah. I feel like personally, can I just add that obviously we're talking about me and we're talking about you and that, but I feel like with the work I do, there's so many young people that end up in jail because a mother, an auntie, a brother, a loved one ends up in jail because of the fact that they can't talk about it with nobody. Do you understand? So for me to be at your podcast, like chilling, talking to you in a nice little studio, nice little setup, and must I add, it makes me like really proud. You understand? Because imagine I come out of jail and I was on a mad thing, like I got vexed, and then you're young, you're angry as well, and then I'm like, yeah, come, don't worry, Usher, I got you, like, and then we're all moving mad. Do you understand? But we have overcome certain things, and I think that's the main story in that. You know?
So yeah, that was funny in the moment. So how long was you there in?
So I got sentenced to 2.5 years. I done 11 months inside, and then I done 5 months on tag.
So fast forwarding now, which I think is one of the most important aspects of this, is you coming out now. Because I think that's it's one of the main things that I've like admired about what you do, is that no one ever questions or tries to think about what people do after they're out.
Yeah.
So
it was a question like...
So what was going through your mind now after you're out? Like, what is the...
I think... To be honest, while I was in jail, I done prep for work, and that's like to get you ready for work. And it's so funny because most of the people didn't have CVs. Like, obviously, I'd had a CV. I got into college, so there's things I had ready, right? So when they tell us to do a CV, I'm messaging your mum like, "This is just posting the CV. I'm not rewriting this stuff. Like, these people are doing it from scratch." Like, and I remember in that class, like the teacher showed me youth work, and I'd always looked at youth work and thought, "What? I can't." But something happened in that moment because I was like, youth work, I need to work with these people in jail. How are they 18-year-olds, little kids in jail? And I remember thinking, I have to do something with the fact that I went to jail. I need to stop people coming here because this is dead, you know? And when I got out, the reality of it was that the jobs weren't there. There was no jobs. Like, I remember going to the job centre and not even declaring that I've been to jail, like, and they're asking me, why are you not getting these jobs? You look like you've got all the qualifications. And I'm like, I don't know. So it's, I think, overcoming it, like watching the news when you're on tag, seeing people going back to jail, reoffending. This is what, for me, the media was just always telling me, you're going to go back to jail. And it reflected in a way that I got arrested again. I didn't go back to jail, but I got arrested again twice. I was on tag again. And I think it took me being in a police station the last time, and there was like these young boys, they're probably about 17, 18. And we was all in one cell. And I wanted to advise them. How could I advise you when I'm in a cell with you? Do you understand? And I think that moment there, it was like, no, I've got to do more. And obviously I had good solicitors after. And Cecilia, hold tight Cecilia, was like, I'm not defending you no more. You've got too much to give to the world. I can't have you in court every day because they will lock you up. Like, there's space for you in jail, you understand? So
I'm sure they don't make space for anyone.
Listen, one thing that they say to you in jail is that you're going to come back. You're going to come back.
You see that in movies and that, and like, I think about, because a lot of movies inspired by real life, but of course not everything in movies is true.
Because it's dramatized and all of that stuff.
But I see that in movies, like the person leaves or some officers goes, yeah, we'll see you again.
See you soon, yeah.
And I'm like, the like mindset of someone
it makes you crazy
to say that to someone walking out, like, oh, you're gonna be back here. Why would you
You'll
even want to?
You'll be back soon. They even told me that my cell would always be ready for me. You know, you don't.
Yeah, that stuff is
You have
crazy.
the same prison number. I should have brought my prison ID. You used to have the same prison number, and so when you go back in jail, you always have the same number. So that never changes. It's like your national insurance number.
So you would never lose that number ever again.
You never
even
lose
20
that
years
number.
later, if you went
20 years later, that is your number. They'll call your number like, oh, you're back, guy. You like you just came in yesterday.
That's crazy.
I think, again, it is officers, I don't think, should be doing that. I think that they should be encouraging women to find what they need to do after, but because they don't know.
I feel like that says something about them. Like, why are you in a mindset where instead of assuming you're on the right path and you're happy about your life, instead of promoting someone, positivity and telling them and giving them advice on how not to be back here, you're making jokes and making like, oh, we'll see you.
But like, do you know what?
Even if I knew someone that had no hope whatsoever, like they're too far gone. I'm not in a mindset to be like, oh yeah, I'll see you again.
I think they've seen it so many times, and I think that is the issue that we have. There's a revolving door. Like, prison is a revolving door. Like, if you've got certain needs that are not met, prison kind of, if you've got no house. I had a house. Like, I got my own place. Like, I'm used to my own company. if you've never had a house, never had family relationships, like this is a home, this is a community, you know, people get used to that. I remember in Holloway seeing people come back and I didn't understand because all I wanted to do was go home and chill with my family, you know, so I'm confused. And I remember
why would you do something
like, why would you come back?
Yeah.
And I remember saying one of the officers, because I got a job at reception, which was apparently the highest paying job. I mean, I was cleaning floors. I cleaned floors like it was a passion, you understand? Because I was just happy to get out myself. And I remember saying to the officer, who's a black man, and I said to him, sir, if you give me the next person's release date, I promise you won't see me back here. And he said, you can't do that. I said, but they don't want to go. They don't want to stay out. I don't want to be here. And he said, Brenna, it's not that easy. And I remember watching one girl who had just been released come back, and I looked at her and I was like, why are you back? Oh, I miss my girlfriend still.
Yeah, people are like, actually, there's something like in here that's like, they've missed it. They've missed the process.
It's a world that they're used to. And you got to think, when I come out of jail.
Oh, wait, I just deeped what the person said. He said she missed her girlfriend. So that's why she did something to come back.
She came back so she can be with her girlfriend. I remember saying to her, I could have just booked a visit, babe. And she was like, no, it's not the same.
That's wild.
Now, you got to think, again, it's like what I was saying, like, if you come out of jail and you've got nothing, the only people that you know are in jail, the only people that care about you in your head are in jail. I mean, officers become like, there's some officers that are cool, let me not say all of them are bad. They check on you, like, are you all right, Brenda? Da, 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 da. You know, people get used to that. If you come out and then you're back in an abusive relationship, back in a house with rent arrears and pest issues, like, cells are looking all right to you.
How much support is there for people who are out?
To be honest with you, if there was
did they just say, there you go, see you later?
If there was that much support, I don't think I would have set up what I'd done, because it was missing. It was really missing to a point. I remember coming out and the prison they contacted me and say, do you want to be in our newsletter? And I said, to talk about what? That I went to jail and now I'm out with no job.
What did you do? What did you?
And they were like, oh, but it's really encouraging to get the women to hear that you're out. And I said, the women need to hear what I'm doing. And right now I'm doing nothing. I will contact you when I'm ready and I'm doing something that is going to encourage the women that are in there. Do you understand? And they were a bit upset, but I didn't care, because I'm like, what if I end up in jail tomorrow? Like, what if I commit a crime tomorrow and I end up back in the place, and then I'm reading my newsletter that I wrote when I was out? That's painful. So I think now, what I know now is that there's women's centers. Women's centers is a place where it's just women. There's no men allowed. You can do workshops, creative workshops. You can meet probation. Instead of going to the probation office where it's very, I guess, male, there's just so much men, like, some of them are cool, some of them are just looking for their next new track queen. You know, with women's centers, you go into that place and you can get everything done. There's even some that have creches, so you can take your child. And this is a big issue because women that go to jail, most of them lose their children. So it's a battle of trying to get your house, trying to get your child back. And women's centers give you that support, but it's not a lot. And there's not many in London. Like, I only found out about women's centers 2 years ago, and I've been out of jail 12 years.
So I want to go to the first thing I feel like you really started and embarked on, the process of starting Unchained Poetry. Talk to us about the process of coming out, understanding what you want to do, what you're trying to do, and then actually going out of your way to become Lady Unchained and then start Unchained Poetry.
Oh,
and
mate.
what that is, people don't know.
So, obviously, Unchained Poetry came from, I had never believed I was a poet. I can't tell you that I wrote a poem before jail. I never put a pen to paper, like text messages and social media. Like, obviously, we didn't have all the Instagrams, but we still had ways of, no one don't need to pick up a pen. This ain't pen pal life. Like, this is not school, So I started writing poetry in jail, but I didn't know it was poetry. It was just a way, because, listen, in jail, everything is problems. You say the wrong thing to the officer, they write you up with the red pen. The next officer comes, oh, you've been naughty. Oh, everything you say. Like, I'll be honest, the reason I started writing poetry is because these people made me fill out a form. What do you want to eat tomorrow, Brenda? Oh, it's nice, isn't it? Joe, giving you what they want, what you want, you can order. Cool. Ordered my food. Next day come, was late to pick up my food. My food's gone. They're giving me something else. I said, what's this? They said, your food's finished. The food that you ordered is finished. It ran out. I said, so why did you ask me to fill out a form to select the food? Isn't that a bit Like, why would you make me do that? Now the officer overheard me and was basically coming closer and was like, this is not a hotel, Brenda. And I said, well, I'd like to think so, because if I paid to stay in a hotel and you brought me here, I'd ask for my money back. She was like, excuse me? Written up. I thought, oh my God. So I had to start writing these things like, the girl over there wants to fight me, that officer is racist, You know, being in a foreign national prison, losing my identity. Like, am I British? Am I African? What am I? You know, all of those things. When I came out, I still didn't believe I was a poet. It was working with like young people and doing little creative workshops, and people actually kind of, I guess people heard my stuff and must have been like, oh, And so I started it with a group of friends, none who had been to jail. And I guess what happened was I basically wanted them to tell me what they wanted Unchained to be. For me, I wanted Unchained to be a platform for people with lived experience, but all those people didn't have lived experience at the time. And so it was one of them things where, like, this is your baby, innit? You created this whole thing. Now, if you had created it with 4 other people, and then those 4 other people are like, you got a meeting, 4 people are not showing up. It's just you. Eventually, you're going to be like, you know what? It's my baby. I have to do it. And I had to let go of that group just because it was hard, because I wanted to do a lot and no one understood what it means to go to jail.
That's similar, because there was someone I was actually supposed to start this podcast with. It was supposed to be just me. And it was supposed to be like 2 hosts. But for some reason, for their reason, which I understand, they didn't really want to, they weren't ready. They wasn't ready, basically.
That's it.
And I thought, all right, cool, I guess I should do Zoom on. But now I'm doing it and I'm almost a year in. I'm like, thank God I did this on my own.
On your own. This is it, because it makes sense. And I feel like because I did it, because I deleted the group, everything, I just said, look, guys, I love you. I was getting angry at them, like, you know, like I'm trying to set up things and people are not showing up. You get vexed, innit?
I guess you can't blame people for not having passion for something that they don't have
passion for, because guess what, you didn't go to jail, I went to jail, so my passion is to make sure this story comes out, and I had to keep doing it. And I think it was until I met National Prison Radio, and that has actually, shout out my boy Jeremy quickly. Jeremy introduced me to Joelle Taylor, who's an amazing poet and author, and she was like, contact National Prison Radio, and I was like, what's that? And now the woman's looking at me like, have you actually been to jail? Because National Prison Radio is the main source.
Which I don't think
a lot of people know.
Yeah, I feel like the only people that would know about that or even listen to that are people who
have been to jail or work within. But guess what? I didn't know about it when she told me about it. And that's because when I was in jail, National Prison Radio hadn't picked up the way it is now. Do you understand? So, of course, I contacted National Prison Radio. They hollered at me. They were like, come perform. I said, perform. They said, yeah, we're going to pay you. I said, pay me? What do you mean? Like, obviously.
Where do I sign?
We're like, what? Like, pay me. But I've got 3 poems at this point that I can perform. It's going to take me like 15 minutes. I think they paid me like £50. I was like, £50 for 15 minutes? What? You know, and I remember being in the space and thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, first they invited me to the podcast, not the podcast, the Outside In show. Shout out Hillary and Clinton. And it's not Hillary Clinton from America. Everyone always thinks that. But I got interviewed by 2 guest hosts, and they were all, they're like, yeah, we've been jail. I was like, it was the first time I'm looking at myself in their position. This is broadcasting house we're talking about. I'm sitting in broadcasting house with other ex-offenders thinking, this is actually real, this can happen. And I think when National Prison Radio clocked that I was onto it, I think one thing that National Prison Radio said, and I've only found this out later, is that I talk too happily about jail.
You talk too happily
like,
about
I can talk about prison and start busting up. Do you understand?
Yeah. So what do they want?
In a way, it was like they weren't sure if I was going to be taken seriously, like, because this is some dark stuff we're talking about. Brenda's always. But what happened is actually they got it, because I would say some dark stuff and I'd be like, it's deep, and I start busting up. You understand? And it's. I think that's what's got me to all the shows in prison as well. That's why my audience like me, because I will crack the jokes that they know they're sitting there going, oh, my days, Lady Unchained is a mad one. Do you understand? But they got that. And I think it's just after that, the confidence just grew and grew. And then, of course, I met Arts Admin, and they were like, so you've done an event in the O2? I done my first event, which you was at, remember? That's when I turned 30. I was gassed. It was like, I'm turning 30. I'm doing an event. Like, this is magic, right?
How long ago was that now? 3 years? 4?
3 years ago, 2017, 2018, was it? And, you know, that I put that on, I paid and whatever. I had a band at that time, I had a vocalist. It was all different. It was like a whole new thing. But of course, again, it's the passion. You have to do what you have to do with your own passion. And what happened was, again, I was getting booked to places. And it was one of them ones where arts admin, who do Unchained nights, they were like, you put this on your own. And they said, come to the building. I said, cool. So you can have this place for free.
That's where, okay, one of the last ones I went to. That's where,
and I said, pardon? For free? You know, now I've been to jail. Nothing comes for free. Like, even in jail, if someone gives you something for free, like, when do I have to pay you this back? Like, or how? Like, what do you need? So I was always a bit like, what's going on? But they gave me the venue. They done the call out. They were like, put it all together. You want artists with lived experience. They done the call out. I got me S&Tech. I got my artists that I work with now. And I think even them, when I told them, you're going to perform, you're going to tell your story on the stage. And they're like, what do you mean, though?
Yeah, they just can't.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like,
what do you mean you're giving me a platform to tell
talk
my
about
story?
That I went to jail. Like, and I said, yeah, and I'm going to pay you. And they're like,
and you're going to give me money?
Like, you know, I remember them like, I said, listen, I want you to stand on that stage after you finish performing. Can we do a little quick Q&A? 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Nah, Brenda, man. I wrote it in the bars. Did they not listen? And they're not going to listen to the bars? It's in the bars. And I remember them. Now you get these guys, you can't get them off the microphone. But it's the fact that, like me, nobody had given them a platform to say, this is what you can do. You can share your story and help somebody else as well as helping yourself. Because it's a healing process. Every time you stand up and you perform and you tell your story, someone new hears it. You hear it as well. Do you understand? So I think, Unchained Poetry, you know, artists with lived experience, artistic platform with artists with lived experience. I think it's crazy because that all came from like me going to a Dragon's Den kind of thing, pitching my idea. And I only got selected to top 10. I didn't get to top 5. And that would have been, for somebody that's come out of jail, whatever, man, like, it's long, forget about it. But I was like, bro, I actually done a business plan. I wrote it. I'm not going to just sit on that. Do you understand?
That's
I had to push.
That's one of the things I loved about it was like, I got to a point, maybe 17, 18, 19, where I realized like, you know, you look at things like the government and politics and whatnot, and I take zero notice of it. I really couldn't give two. And I know at some point I'm going to have to, because I'm going to be moving out and I'm going to be having my own taxes and working seriously. So I'm going to have to take some sort of, you know, interest. But right
just
now,
a little bit,
just a little bit, just so I can actually, you know. But right now, I couldn't care less. And one of the reasons is that I just don't see no platforms or understandings or representations of me and where I'm from and everyone else who looks like me. So that was one of the things that I loved. And one of the reasons why I have this podcast is, and now it's guest orientated, to give people a platform where they can come and talk, because everybody's got stories, especially people who are from areas where I'm from. So that's one of the things that I loved about the Unchained nights and whatnot, is that it wasn't just you. You had artists under your wing that you brought on, like Tech and S, and you know, and it was dope. Like, it was giving people platforms to.
And we're growing now. Like, by the way, just so you know, we are having an Unchained dinner at the house, so you will be there. And you can meet all the new artists who are all doing amazing stuff.
Some people here and there we talked to about, you mentioned.
I mean, they're doing amazing stuff. Yeah, this is it. And I think, you know, like, when, I guess it's hard because you got to think, when you come from that place, you need to find something solid. And it's so funny that people are like, oh, she's amazing. I'm only amazing because I haven't been back to jail. And that's what amazes people, that I haven't been back to jail. But the funny thing is, if I wanted to go back to jail, I could. Do you understand? I could, because it would be so easy for me to get caught up in a madness if I didn't do what I'm doing now. But
I think the amazing thing is, which is what is not so easy for people to realize, is that you have understood that there is more.
There has to be more.
It's crazy. Like, I don't remember when it was. I think I spoke about it briefly when I went out Central London when I was like younger.
Yeah.
I realized, like, there's more. Like, London isn't just Southeast London. Is it just Thamesmead where you go to school? Is it just where I grew up, the park? Isn't just the faces of people from the areas I know.
And I think that's why it's so important to take, you know, it's crazy that you know, you just said about no interest in the government, but there's nothing for you to be interested in. If there were still residencies where young people can be taken out of that block, you know, like, what's interesting to me is I go to different prisons. And when you look at the scenery,
Yo, like...
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. These men have never even been here.
Yeah.
These men are behind a door, behind a big old wall. They don't know how it looks there.
Yeah,
Do you understand?
I think people highly underestimate the feeling of being in an estate for your whole life and then going to somewhere just not even far, just outside of London, just outside, and then just seeing a field like that just there, just seeing this whole big field, like
it actually amazes me, like, because we don't get that enough. And I think this is why I want to do, like, you know, my artists, I got invited to the House of Lords, and they were like, pardon? I said, yeah. They said, how we even meant to dress? Like, I said, so this is what you do. Remember when you went to court? They're like, where are you going with this, Brenda? Remember when you went to court, you wore nice pair of trousers and a shirt, just like that, but this time you ain't going to jail. And they looked at me, they're like, do you know that you're a twisted person? I said, but guess what? You're going to dress the part though, innit? And they dressed the part. It's one of my the most favorite picture I have of all of us, like literally, because they've never been, I remember even as we was getting there, they're like, are we really going, so what are we going to do here? Like, so just shake hands, drink some free alcohol and eat some free food, really. Just shake hands. And they're like, yeah. And I left them. They went and talked to their people. And it was a feeling when we left there. It's like, wow, we just done that. Do you understand? Like, this is a place where they would have never saw themselves being. Like, maybe, yeah, in the House of Lords, they're talking about their criminal convictions and all these people that need to go back to prison. Yeah, maybe there they will see themselves. But unfortunately, there's not enough things for people to do in order to keep them. I don't know. It's like, you love doing your podcast. I love doing what I do. And I wouldn't want that taken away from me. So going to jail will take that away. Yeah,
it's understanding that there is more. And then the second thing is actually having the motivation, the drive to go and do something about it.
Yeah.
So there is so much that you do. One other thing I want to get to is again, you need to explain this to me because I can't even explain myself. But the book.
Oh my God! Yes. Yeah,
the book. So tell us about the book.
So I have a book.
That's all I can give right now. The book.
I have a book coming out next year. And whoa, I mean, it's crazy because, like, of course, I'm seeing it advertised already, and I'm like, whoa, pre-orders and that, what? Like, where? Sorry. So the book is going to be a poetry book, and it's about my journey. So crime and punishment, life in prison, life after prison. The book's going to be called Behind Bars. Because at the end of the day, my bars from behind bars are now my bars that I used to get paid. Do you get me? So it's one of them ones. But yeah, I've got a book coming out. It's actually a bit crazy when I think about it, because I'm like, you know, I'll be honest, yeah, I've been saying I want to do a book. I want to write a book, man. No one's got money to write it. You know how expensive it is. And I remember this, how deep it is, yeah, because people need to know.
I think I will one day.
You will. Don't think, you will. It's a definite, like, honestly, especially if we're making one book in a family, it's a follow-on, like, just part of the way, like, honestly, I feel like
actually better start writing down.
Nah, honestly, and I know you're a writer as well, so it's just that you don't share your stuff, but I know you're a writer. But you know what, it's the simple fact that I remember being on the phone talking about my rent arrears to my rent officer, like, yo, you're not gonna get paid, yeah, And she was like, Brenda, you know what? I really think you should write a book. And I said, me too. It'll be really nice, innit, if we get the money. And I swear to you, I come off the phone to her, open my laptop, went back to work, email. Hey, Brenda, we would really love to work with you. I was just wondering, have you ever thought about writing a book? Yes, I have. I have no money though. And they were like, don't worry about that. Let's have a chat. And they're amazing publishers. Like, you know, it's
what's the publisher?
Octopus. And it's mad because they found me on socials. It's like Sarah found me, and then she's like talked to her team, and you know, it's mad. But I'm making a book. I'm writing a book. You know, it's out next year. We haven't got the images for it yet, but you know, I want it to kind of tell a story, because I think what's been amazing about my journey is the fact that I think people can relate to me, even people that haven't been to jail. And in a way, that's what I need. I need more people that haven't been to jail to be able to relate to me, because, for example, when I meet white women who say, oh my God, like, I've done that so many times. I beat the shit out of people. Why didn't you go to jail? Because I'm white. You know, we've got to realize that the whole criminal justice system is a broken mess. You know, we've got black people in care, going from care to prisons, you know, then from prisons to a grave. Like, there has to be a different route. So I think by doing this book, for me, it's like every single person in jail, I want it to be available in all the jail houses. I want people to pick up that book and be like, you know what? I'm the next Brenda. Do you understand? Because right now there's a lot of entertainment and there's a lot of like artists that are doing amazing music. But what happens is the stories that they're telling is also influencing young people into a different lifestyle. Sadly for me, with my artists, they know they can't say certain things on the mic. They can't say it. Like, use a metaphor, find a metaphor for it. Like, do you understand? Because guess what? We've got criminal convictions. We're known for violence or anger. If we put that in our music, guess what? Imagine you go out tonight to celebrate. Oh, we just done a podcast. Brenda Katz has a fight. And in her poem, she said, the girl in the red dress, and the girl that in the red dress the girl that fights happens to be in a red dress. You know, all those things could be used against you. So I have to be very careful in what I do. But in the book, I just want it to be, I'm kind of over not talking about race. Like, I think it's one of them ones where I'm over it. I'm a Black woman. I'm African. I'm human. But in the justice system, I'm just a criminal. So how would we change that? If that makes sense, how do we change that?
Yeah, it's this is one of the positions in life where I feel like stubbornness comes in perfectly, because stubbornness is like this refusal to not be. There's a quote about, I forgot, it's somewhere in my iPad, but it's refusal about not refusing to allow anyone else to identify you.
Yeah, this is it.
You understanding that, you know, you have you are within your own rights to identify yourself how you please. So yeah, like you just said, understanding that you're who you are, your name is what it is.
It is
you're
what
from
it is.
Where you're from.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And also, you lot gave me a criminal conviction. I don't say I gave it to myself because I was defending my sister. You gave me a criminal conviction, and guess what I'm going to do with that criminal conviction? I am going to get paid. And I remember being in jail, and God rest Derek's soul, you know, saying to him on the phone, yo, bro, I need to do something about this, you know. I need to help people, man. I'm going to do something with this, you know. They can't just put me in jail. And he was busting up. He said, you know how much man them go to jail and say all this stuff, brother? You're a joke, you know? But obviously, he's not here to see what I'm doing. Of course, I know he sees, but it's one of them ones where every time something positive happens with my journey, I'm like, wow, Derek, are you seeing this? Like, you know, to be able to go on to Good Morning Britain with Piers Morgan.
He was on Good Morning Britain. Oh,
like, I was like sitting next to Piers Morgan, like, you know, and we won him over. You know, we won him over. You know, the whole conversation was about abolishing women's sentences of less than a year. And he took our side eventually because we tag teamed him. You know, but it's one of them ones where these conversations have to happen more at the moment. I know you probably don't know this, but they are trying to open 500 new prisons just for women. And, you know...
500 new
new prisons.
Just for women?
Just for women.
How many people need to be in prison? 500 new.
500 new prisons. Now, what's interesting about this
if you told me there was 500 prisons in like England, I would think that makes sense.
No. 500 new prisons. So this is where it gets complicated. Obviously, I had done the Unchained documentary, which was all about women in prison, and it was basically why they shouldn't go to jail, how women's centers are more better than sending women to jail. Now, this is my understanding of this. I don't care who wants to say what they want to say, but I'm going to say what I say, yeah. That whole documentary and all the reports in government have been saying that women go to jail for, I guess, crimes that ain't violent. So theft, like shoplifting, all these little things. You know, me not being that one of those people, obviously, but that's mostly what women go to jail for, stealing for their children, you know, drug habits, all this stuff. Now, it's interesting that for a long time, we've proven that women are not violent, right? And then the Sarah Everard visual happened, right?
Yes.
And the first thing that happened with that visual the next day was that the news, all the media reports were like, look at these women. Look how aggressive they are. Look at how violent they are. Sarah Everard is the one that got killed by the Fed.
Yeah, okay.
And they had the visual and all the people, like for her, lighting candles for her.
Okay, yeah.
And then the police came and kicked it all down.
Okay,
but on the news, all the media reports were, look at these angry women, look how violent they are. And not so long after that, all of a sudden, the talks about the 500 prisons for women opened up. And now it's,
so people use that as
that's how I see it. Because for me, I see it as, we've been telling you women are not violent. And then this happens and you're like, look at these violent women. Look at what they're doing. It's like, women are not just cooking food and having babies. They're out here fighting battles. How dare they? You know, at the end of the day, that's what we do. We go to protest, like, and we fight through word of mouth. Like my whole poetry, everything is a protest. Now the 500 prisons, I mean, there's a whole campaign, stop the 500, please guys, stop the 500. Follow me. If you follow me anywhere, just go and find it and I'll share it. Remember when I used to come on weekend releases? I'll come home for the weekend. So with the 500 prisons, they don't have that. They want to remove that. They're saying, you should come and stay with me as my child in the jailhouse.
Huh? So mothers in their cells with their children.
So instead of me going on weekend release and going to see, the child comes into the jail.
Why do you want a child to come into?
Why do you want a child to come into the jail? A traumatic place. Yeah, exactly. This is my work. This is literally what I have to deal with every day.
I'm trying to. I want to touch on different things here that you've done that people can go check out. I was had the privilege to be in one of your music videos.
Ooh, the Forgotten People.
The Forgotten People. Just briefly talk to us about why you wanted to do a music video, what Forgotten People meant to you, and why you want to do that music. Why you wanted to do that music video. So
the Forgotten People was commissioned as part of arts admins, the people who I work with, but they basically helped me commission that. They done funding for it, and I worked with an amazing videographer and filmmaker Tracy. Also my Ugandan sister, Large Up Yourself. But the Forgotten People, it's actually funny. The poem was written when arts admin asked me to go to Rotterdam for a writer's creative thing. I've never been camping, like it taught me camping. I mean, that was cool, but I don't like camping. And the whole point of it was to be creative, talking mostly about climate change.
Yeah.
I don't know either about that either, so it was hard. But I did write a poem about climate change, just so you know. But then they gave us this day where you can go and explore this island. I was on this little island. It was not little, it was a massive island actually. And I found this tree. I remember because I was the only black person on the island, do you understand? So I was a bit confused why this tree was here, you know, because for me, I'm like, right, only time I've seen trees like this are like films where black people get killed, burnt to death, and, you know, they say their last words just before they die. And you can go in the tree, you can actually walk inside the tree and stand in there, and that's what effed me up really badly, because I was like, why is there a space to walk in this tree? I guess it's a creative space.
Is it a natural thing or someone's carved?
I think they've carved it. Okay. As in, I guess it was creativity, but still, what creativity are you? Because my mind right now, I feel like you're about to hang me here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not creative if you're black. If you're a white person, you're like, oh, this tree's nice.
No.
You're black.
No, if I'm...
You've seen too many movies.
I've seen too many movies. It's too much. So I remember going, let me write something. And I wrote that poem, I think it was 2018, before this whole pandemic. I remember there was a lot of issues in regards to whether I was going to perform it there or whatever, whether it might be too powerful for the white people. Yeah. You know, I performed it anyway. And obviously when I got back, I told arts admin, this is what I've done. Then George Floyd thing happened. When they killed George Floyd, when they killed George Floyd, I already had this poem, right? Yeah. But it was one of them ones where I was like, are you kidding me right now? This is big, like on TV, we're all seeing it. Yeah. So I called all my friends and said, listen, call me a little something about how you feel about George Floyd's thing. So in the poem, you have other voices and stuff. Of course, like when they said they're going to make a video, I was like, I've never made a video for my life. Like, can I have all my people in there? Obviously, COVID would not allow us to do that. Yeah. But I had you, Shemi. There was meant to be a couple other people in there. But for me, it is my personal campaign against the racism within the criminal justice system. You know, when I'm talking about we bleed the same color, like if you cut a black person or a white person, we're going to bleed the same color. The only difference is the criminal justice system treats us differently. Do you understand? So I've been using it as a campaign to follow on in regards to the George Floyd, but more so the racism within the UK, because we're always like, oh my God, America's so bad, so terrible there. The British, we're just really good at hiding stuff. We hide it so well. If I never went to jail, I would not know that this happens. I nearly got deported as part of my sentence. Like, where are you going to dip me? To South London, bro? Like, what do you understand? So for me, the Forgotten People is about understanding that there is still black people being sent to prison for nothing other than the color of their skin. And also, unfortunately, most people, even when you talk about white people that's going to jail, they're the more poor people. They're the poverty, like the people that come from ends, you understand? So, and even then, they still have a little bit better than us. The judge sees them as white. You're white. Like, I think I wrote something where I say, white judges, like in a courtroom, there's white judges with white hair. They pass judgment on white paper. Everything is white. Like, it's against you. You understand? So for me, the Forgotten People was my campaign to just show people that, firstly, I'm a black woman that's gone to jail, and it's messed up. I see some stuff that I need you lot to understand is still happening. It's not just finished because I left.
Everyone can go check that out. The Forgotten People, that's out everywhere.
Everywhere,
YouTube,
yeah,
everywhere.
You can find that.
Two things. Where can people, your show on National Prison Radio?
Yes.
How can people find that? How can people tune into that?
So if you follow me on my Instagram at Lady Unchained, you will find the Mixcloud in my bio. All the episodes are up. It's actually ending bars. So I've got my last episode next week. It's so sad. But we are going to season 2 come in. Bigger guests, more conversation. But yes, on my Instagram, you can definitely find that. All of it, actually, really. And listen, I'm not one of those people. I don't shy away from replying to messages. If you want to message me, you message me. Like, if I've got time, I will message you back. I might even send you a voice note, sister. Like, just message me.
And that's for everyone that is interested, that wants to hear these stories, wants to hear these voices. Go in and listen. It's not.
Go and listen. Listen.
Just people.
Listen to the stories, and also listen to the artists. Listen to my artists' stories, and also if you do have a family member in jail, listen, don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll give you details for National Prison Radio, because you can do song requests, you can send messages, you can do a lot of things. So yeah, holla.
There's something I want to do, and I didn't plan on doing this.
Oh, okay.
I didn't plan on doing this, but
I look at the camera like, what's going on here?
Well, something I want you to do.
Oh,
I didn't plan on doing something that just came on my head real quickly.
Okay.
Do you have a piece that you can? I'm sorry. I didn't even think I was gonna do this. Do you have a piece that you have that you can, like a short? Doesn't have to be long, just a short one.
What have I? I'll do Trap Queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be long.
I'll do Trap Queen.
You don't have to do all of it as well.
If I don't do all of it, it won't make sense.
So I just give something.
Okay. Trap Queen. Okay, Trap Queen is based off of the fact that I went to jail and realized so many women are in jail because of men. So sorry guys, but you don't need to fix up. But it is a Trap Queen, and it's also based off of it's taken from that. What's that rap? Trap Queen.
Yeah.
I heard that and I was like, what? What is he telling these girls? So yeah, this is a Trap Queen. Yeah. He said he's in love with that Coco, so your relationship had to be on the low. But when it came to doing time for that Coco, see, your relationship became public real quick. Because see, he needed you to take the rap. The funny thing is, he probably would have got less than you if he can just own up to his crimes, but you was too keen to please a man who would never please you back. Do you want me to say the whole thing? You said a tease.
People can go listen to that.
Yeah, I think it's on my SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I think it's on my SoundCloud. I can do the whole piece if you want me to do the whole pice.
People can go listen to that.
Go and find me.
On the social media, you find SoundCloud. There's one more thing I want to ask you. I have like my own understanding of what it is for me, but I want to ask you what your understanding is for you. Your name is Lady Unchained. You do Unchained Poetry. Mm-hmm. To you, what does being unchained mean to you?
Oh, mate. To me, being unchained is being free from the ties of a criminal conviction. But also, when I say free, doesn't mean that I'm going to completely forget about it. I mean that I'm free from it in regards to I can talk about it and not feel some type of way, if that makes sense, but talk about it in a way that I guess kind of gives people time to think, time to understand. I just want to be free. And what I want is for people that have lived experience to be able to understand that with a conviction, you can do so much. So we're unchaining ourselves from the pain, the labels, the stigma, and just the judgmental people that just think that you're going to go back to jail someday, So yeah, that is unchained.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to mention, anything that you got coming up? Anything that you want to say?
Well, honestly, my people, all I can say is, can you just keep continuing my nephew? Because guess what? He didn't go to jail, okay? He could have ended up in a madness after I went down. Like, do you understand? He could have ended up in a madness. We know how the roads be. So please keep, just shout him up, just shout him out in it. Because right now, and I want to say, I want to say auntie, but like then I show that I'm old. Auntie. No, I'm a proud auntie. Like honestly, I feel like what you do here, the setup, like cameraman included, like honestly, like honestly, like just it's beautiful. So I think that you just need to continue. For me, what I would say to people is don't ever let anybody make you feel like because of something you've been through that you are irrelevant and your life is irrelevant, or that you will never overcome it. Because even if you don't overcome it, you'll overcome it. If that does that make sense? Like one and last thing, before my boy died, he used to say all these like little quotes, and he was really ill, and I used to say to him, "How are you? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "The doctors don't know. I walk at the speed of faith, not man. That's why these doctors don't know where I'm going." And so I decided,
at the speed of faith.
So I decided to make a quote on his behalf after he passed away, and this is my life. Like, you know, people always think, what's Brenda doing?
Yeah.
I walk at the speed of faith, not man. So even when it looks as though I am standing still, I have already won. Do you understand? So when you are racing each other, like you're thinking, looking behind, like Brenda's all the way back there. You're going to get to the finish line. Brenda's just there slipping. Like, do you understand? So yeah, it's not, just do you, man.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
It's been amazing.
The episode. I really hope people enjoy and take something from it. My people, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. If you're listening to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you. If you're listening on YouTube, we appreciate you. Make sure you get involved. You like, you comment, subscribe, all of that. We won't keep you any longer. Have a good morning, have a good day, have a good night. Stay safe, stay sweet, stay street.